So I was perusing Reddit, which I'm sure a lot of you do as well, and I came across this Reddit post about some unused cut dialogue that was found, I'm guessing in some hidden files or some files within the game, probably from an update. And I thought to myself, crazy that no one's been talking about this. And I thought, well, I'm going to talk about it. So I decided to make a video about it. I'm going to basically go over the specific dialogue that was cut and give my thoughts. And yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts as well. So make sure you're liking this video. If you're not subscribed to my channel, make sure you are, because I'm going to be doing more Mortal Kombat videos in the next couple of weeks. And yeah, it's just a great time to be a Mortal Kombat fan. So let's get to it. So the very first set of dialogues that we have involve Nightwolf, and it also involves Nightwolf with Erron Black, Sonya Blade, and Cassie Cage, as long as with the Collector. So from the first set of dialogue, we have Erron Black saying, "How about that, cowboys and Indians?" Nightwolf saying, "Don't expect history to repeat." Erron Black responding, "Why should I expect anything else?" Going on to Sonya, we have, "You've been shit-talking the army, Nightwolf." Nightwolf responding, "You deny its crimes against the Matoka?" Sonya saying, "Just saying, leave the past in the past." With Cassie Cage, we have, "How do we fix this, Nightwolf?" Nightwolf responds, "Give back our ancestral lands." Cassie Cage responds, "Wish I was the person who could help with that." With the Collector, we have, "Why sever a realm that scorns you?" Nightwolf responds, "To prove my worth, Collector." And Collector responds, "But how will you profit?" So I started off with this one because we all know that the Indian Americans were here before us. The U.S. did take their land, and I don't know that they've actually been treated fairly, but when it comes to politics and this kind of history, does it belong in a video game? Probably the answer is no. I understand that Nightwolf is an Indian, and he is a part of Earthrealm, so it's not like he is not prone to these type of issues. I mean, they happen to his people, but do I think that it's pertinent to the story of Mortal Kombat? If that's the way we're looking for frame of reference, does this do anything to the story? Does this do anything to add or take away? Does it propel the story forward? You know, those kind of questions need to be answered, and I'm sure they were, and that's why this stuff was not included into the video game. All right, moving on, we have Jacqui Briggs and Jade. So in this dialogue, we have Jacqui saying, "I'm not down with imperialism, Jade." Jade responding, "Strong empires provide shelter for weaker races." Jacqui saying, "Oh, don't even go there." So I think this one's pretty self-explanatory as well. Why would she be looking down on Jacqui Briggs for, I guess, being African-American and saying that that's just how her race needs to be imperialized? That's a straight no-no. I would never, I don't know who came up with this dialogue, even if it's just for funsies. Nah, that's not cool. I recently watched the Amazon show Them, and wow, I recommend watching it, but man, I'm a horror movie buff and I have a stomach for this kind of stuff, but I had to take a break from some of that because, you know, it's very hyper focused on what they, you know, talk about as far as civil rights in the 50s and 60s and how African Americans were treated, and it's just, it's a trip. But when it comes down to this, just like I said before, does this stuff belong in a video game? Does this help the story? Does it take away from the story? Those questions should have been asked. They were asked and answered. That's why this does not belong in the game. All right, moving on, we have Geras, or Geras, however you pronounce his name. So first up, we have the Collector and Geras. So we have the Collector saying, "Kill your mistress for Shao Kahn." Geras saying, "I'll kill you for that suggestion." The Collector saying, "Kronika is a weak old lady." Another conversation with Geras. In intro, we have Kitana. Kitana saying, "Perhaps you could serve a new master." Geras saying, "I will not betray my maker." Kitana responding, "Loyalty will be your death, Geras." So what's interesting about this one, I don't think it's as bad as the other ones. I think it's, I don't know why. Maybe we thought that Geras and Kronika were having a thing. Mistress is kind of, you know, a strong word, but we always thought, you know, hey, it's just a servant of her. Maybe they could have a romantic relationship. I mean, the dude's made of sand, or sands of time. So, I mean, let her, you know, stroke the sands, whatever she wants to do, you know, kind of go in there. But, you know, if that's what they think, that's fine. But I don't think that's like too inappropriate. I think that's pretty okay. I mean, for all you Geras fans, are you know, offended by that? Let me know in the comments below. All right, moving on, we have Mileena. So Mileena has interaction with Scorpion and with Shang Tsung. So from the first dialogue, we have Mileena and Scorpion. Mileena saying, "We don't have to be foes." Scorpion responding, "You remain a threat to Earthrealm." Mileena saying, "Perhaps we do." Moving on to Shang Tsung's, we have Mileena saying, "Tanya must be resurrected." Shang Tsung saying, "I make clones. I don't raise the dead." Mileena responding, "You will if properly motivated." On these two, I don't see what the big deal was, why it was cut. I think those have been just fine. I particularly like the one with Shang Tsung because We all know that Tanya was killed, or unofficially killed off screen, you know, whatever you want to look at it. She wasn't really killed in the video game per se, but I think that's interesting that, you know, Mileena and Tanya seem to have this blossoming relationship, you know, and Melina's ending for MK11. She has a child, you know, her heir to the throne, you know, in her story. And so I think it's ironic that Shang Tsung's like, I can't raise people for the dead, but I can clone people like I cloned you pretty much. Would we want a Tanya clone? That'd be interesting. Would it be Tanya's, I don't know, soul DNA crossed with another Takartan like Baraka, and that's how we got Mileena, so it's gonna have another, you know. I guess for Mileena that wouldn't matter, because I mean, heck, that's what she is. Would she really mind having another one of herself just looking like Tanya? Probably not, as long as she had her. So that's an interesting one. I think that'd have been one that should have been kept in the game. Keeping up with Shang Tsung, we have Shang Tsung and Rambo. So Shang Tsung says, "You will give my clones many fine qualities." Rambo says, "Really? Like what?" Shang Tsung responds, "Perhaps best is your appetite for destruction." This was really interesting because just like I was talking before about Tanya, you know, being crossed with Baraka, I would never have thought to myself to cross any other type of clone with Rambo. Now, my only thought is, will they have the same voice as Sylvester Stallone? Because why would you want that? Just kidding, like, you know, well, I guess I'm thinking more Rocky. My bad. I'm thinking more Rocky. You know, I just can't picture, you know, I don't know, who would be crossed with that? Who would... Oh, okay. Let's say it was like a Johnny Cage clone crossed with Rambo. I know it's like, well, that's kind of white guy for a white guy, but I'm just, you know, trying to think of what would be kind of funny. If I had Johnny Cage clone with Rambo, and he's all like, Sonya, Sonya, that's a play off of Adrian. You're probably like, you know, stick to your day job, Justin. But anyways, I thought that's a pretty decent dialogue. I don't know why that one was cut either. And last up, we have Noob Saibot and Sub-Zero. So in this interaction, Noob Saibot says, "Once there was a boy who had a shadow." And Sub-Zero responds, "I suppose that is us, brother." And Noob Saibot says, "The shadow hated the boy so much for so long." This is another one I don't know why they didn't put in the game, because I think this is a perfect reference. I mean, it kind of gives me some Peter Pan vibes, but I think that one would have been a great one. So we all know that strictly, you know, especially with Mortal Kombat movie coming out, if you didn't know that Bihan in the Mortal Kombat lore, when he dies, he becomes Noob Saibot. He's basically the soul reincarnated, and that's just basically his form. And so we know that for the most part, he does have evil intentions, and we know that because his brother, Kuai Liang, is not obviously dead. We know that there's some contention there because, you know, his brother is now evil, and I'm saying, you know, Bihan as Noob Saibot is usually on the evil side, and Kuai Liang, the brother of Sub-Zero, is usually on the good side. So that kind of, you know, makes some contention between themselves. So given that Noob Saibot is purely black and usually acts as a shadow, it's kind of funny to think that he's kind of always in his brother's footsteps, his younger brother's footsteps, and kind of following him around. And he wants to be back in the living as he was before. So it's kind of, you know, that's what I take from that. And that's very interesting, you know, way to see it. And I think that's pretty cool that this dialogue was, you know, going back and forth and created, but it wasn't put in the game, which I think was a shame. So I will say this, even if these are, you know, I know from Reddit a lot of times some of the stuff can be fake or not true and fan-made, but heck, if it was, you know, these dialogues are interesting. The intros, if they're whatever they are, intros, dialogues, they're interesting. And I agree with the person who posted this, that it was on the Mortal Kombat Reddit, that, you know, some of these for sure, like I mentioned before in the earlier ones with Nightwolf and Jacqui Briggs, those of course should not have been in the game. But some of the other ones I think would have been just fine, and they probably could have just added some more personality to the characters that they were having the interaction. Let me know in the comments below what you think about the interactions. What do you think about my thoughts on Jacqui Briggs and Nightwolf? And what do you think about my thoughts about, do you think that we should have a Johnny Cage Rambo clone? Do you think that should happen? If you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. If you want more videos like this one, including all my other Mortal Kombat coverage, is going to happen in the next couple of weeks, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys next time on The Mashup.